Speaking the truths the multinationals would rather you didn't know all about, frankly. Thom Hartmann here with you, and our Green Report brought to you by SolarWorld.com. Paul Gunter is on the line with Beyond Nuclear. He is the Director of Reactor Oversight, the Reactor Oversight Project, actually, at beyondnuclear.org. And our go-to guy, one of the very best of our go-to guys, and gals, I guess, or women, for what's going on with nuclear power around the world. And Paul, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Tom.
I have heard two very spooky stories just in the last week that I haven't, I've mentioned on the air, but we haven't really gotten into because I wanted to reality check them with you. One is that, and I think this is pretty solid, I've seen it in a bunch of news places, that Reactor 1 actually has had a core meltdown, and they are just freaked. They don't know what to do quite about that. And two, that reactor number 4, that the entire building is leaning, or that the reactor is leaning, or that the structural integrity of the building is at risk. That one, I can't say I've read in the mainstream media at all. What's going on with these two places? And in general, I mean, I'm sure you've got things to tell us that go way beyond that.
Yeah. Well, I was in a U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission briefing yesterday in NRC headquarters down here in Maryland, where they have now identified that very vaguely. I mean, it was more disturbing what they didn't say as what they did say at the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission meeting. They did identify that there are structural issues under the irradiated fuel, the nuclear waste ponds at the nuclear power plants in Fukushima. This has been, it's been floating around that you're right that the Unit 4 is now the leaning nuclear tower of Fukushima. There are there's more than 100 tons of nuclear waste up there in Unit 4.
Now, this is way up top in the roof, and a swimming pool on the roof.
6 to 10 stories up. This building is listing, and it's loaded with more than 100 tons of nuclear waste.
Wow.
That if it collapses, it's again, we are just awed by the scope of catastrophe that lingers with this nuclear sword of Damocles that's hanging over not only Japan, but its reach is both awesome in terms of distance and time, in how far it can reach.
Right. You mean like as in this stuff can reach 250,000 years into the future, even though the human race is only 160,000 years old?
Absolutely.
Because of how long the radioactive isotopes...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, ocean currents globally, as well as the northern hemisphere,
right,
in terms of the jet stream. If this stuff gets, as it is getting out, it's we're now, going into the 9th week of this accident, still out of control. Unit 1, as you mentioned, Tokyo Electric Power Company has now confirmed. I mean, what we've known for weeks now is that there was a core melt accident, and now they are confirming that it has burned through the bottom of the vessel, and it's probably coming out like hot toothpaste and collecting on the concrete floor of the containment. Now, what we have to remember here is that the interaction between lava-like nuclear meltdown, when it comes in contact with concrete, it has this interaction which generates carbon dioxide and hydrogen gas. So, and we know that the containments have been essentially compromised for units 1, 2, and 3. So we have this ongoing risk of hydrogen gas explosions, which we saw dramatically on our TVs and on our computers, and this threat could once again occur. As a result of the compromise of the containment and the vessels, we now have tremendous amounts of radioactive contaminated water leaking out. Tokyo Electric Power Company is literally drowning in a rising level of contaminated water that is vital to cooling the reactors and the damaged fuel in units 1, 2, 3, and 4. But at the same time, they have no way of decontaminating the water or processing it. So right now, we've got about 90,000 tons of radioactive contaminated water on site. How
much of that is pouring into the ocean every day?
Well, we don't know. I mean, in fact, it's very likely that not only the ocean is being contaminated, but the groundwater is being contaminated, as very likely the earthquake itself caused the reactor site to drop about 1 foot, and when the reactor site dropped that heights, it very likely cracked the concrete base mat, and so we've got contamination going into groundwater. We've got seaweed now determined to be excessively radioactive 40 miles off the coast of Japan, and with an ongoing contamination event.
Amazing. Radioactive seaweed 40 miles away. Paul Gunter, beyondnuclear.org. You can get all the details over there. Paul, keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And thanks for being with us and sharing it with us. I appreciate it. This is something we can't forget. We can't let this thing slide off our radar screen. We'll be back.